So, hi, I'm Kyle. I wasn't in high school very, very long ago. And I think one or two things that I did when I first started in year seven and then again in year nine for my second high school was definitely getting to know my teachers. I think they can be one of your best allies. And very early, when you don't know your classmates very well, having that nice, safe person that you sort of go to if the classroom or if outside gets too stressful, definitely a good thing. Another piece of advice I would definitely give is to join a band or drama class or any of those extracurricular activities. They're amazing for making friends early because, you've all got to sit in the classroom together in order to do something. So instruments, extracurricular activities are amazing for getting to know people very quickly.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Caitlin, and I would say that two pieces of advice that I would have with this question would be that when you're struggling to communicate with adults that you trust. I know when I started high school, which was 2009, I think I started high school, 2008, 2009 probably. I never talked to any adults about how I was struggling with academic stuff or socially, and I know that if I had expressed those feelings I had, I wouldn't have internalized my anxiety, and I probably would have enjoyed high school a lot more if I communicated with people, which is not easy to do, but that's one big thing that I would encourage everyone to do. And the second thing would be if you're one of those people like me in high school and primary school that struggled with English and maths and writing and stuff like that, that don't let those struggles limit your dreams. I know when I was younger, I really had ideas that I wanted to be a teacher or study political science, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that because I'm dyslexic. And now, as I got older, I realized that that's stupid, and actually it doesn't matter if you struggle academically. You can do whatever you want to do. So, yeah, having a mentality that you can follow your dreams. That's my 2 bits of advice. Yeah.
Jarod, wise words, my man.
Yes, hi, my name is Jarod. And if I had some pieces of advice to give to a new year 7 student, the first thing I would advise is you can have different teachers for all of your subjects, or at the very least, most of them. So I know in my personal experience, when I was in grade 5, I didn't enjoy my teacher very much, and that led me down a whole path full of troubles. And I was terrified that would happen again in year 7. But I realized like day 1 that I was going to have different teachers for all of my subjects, and that fear went away completely. And the second advice that I would give is if you're taking the bus to school, learn the bus schedule and when your bus arrives, where your bus leaves and stuff like that. Because I remember on the first day, I was absolutely freaking out because I saw 7 buses at the front of the school and I wasn't sure which bus I was supposed to go on. But luckily it turned out after all the buses had left, I talked to one of the teachers and was like, oh yeah, you're supposed to go on like the bus that gets here like in 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, those would be my 2 pieces of advice.
Awesome. So my name's Patrick, I'm 18 and I just finished high school last year. And one of my biggest pieces of advice is, so when I first started high school, I had no idea. I really didn't have any idea what high school really was, how it ran. I had no idea just how it was. And the things I knew about it were probably very stereotypical things you've seen from like movies and television. So just my advice is it's definitely not like that. It's a lot more, you're not just thrown in the deep and everyone running around like crazy. When you first start high school, there's lots of support there for you. So when I first started high school, I went to a relatively big school and they gave out, I think, 4 timetables for everyone. One for in your diary, one for in your locker, and they just stick them everywhere. So you always know what classes you have and where you have to go. and they gave us a map to the school as well. And then after a while, it became really easy to navigate the school, and just learning the environment a lot more. And it became really easy to navigate. And that's like one thing is just to remember there is a lot of support when you first start high school, and the teachers are really there to help you, and they're really trying to make you feel comfortable and safe in the environment. And my other piece of advice is, like Jarod, I did catch the bus a lot, and I was some of those days I was really freaking out, and getting nervous, and definitely leaving school to go back home on the bus. There's always a teacher out there with a timetable telling you which buses are going. It may be hard for some people, but it really is easy just to ask hey, where the buses are going and stuff like that. And yeah, those are my two bits of advice.
So my advice for if you feel a bit reluctant to ask for help would be that to try your best to talk to people in general. And that means about anything. It doesn't have to be anything serious, but start to slowly talk to people about your interests and who you are and what you like. And then eventually, when you meet people that you trust, you'll feel more inclined to ask for help. So I would just say slowly start to build up your confidence by talking little bit by little bit to people. Because if you don't, then you'll probably start to isolate yourself, and then you'll be like me when I was in high school and not ask for help because you isolate yourself. So yeah, that's my advice.
My advice here would be to, because I know the main reason that I didn't ask for help when I was in high school is because I felt like it would be seen as a weakness, and because I was told always to, man up and to not ask for help because that's not what men do and stuff like that. So yeah, my advice to you guys would be, it does not make you weak. It doesn't make you any less of a person to ask for help. Everyone needs help every now and again. And so asking for help when you need it is one of the strongest things that you can do.
Awesome. So, so for me, if you're having trouble asking for advice, I reckon the best thing to do is, if you have a really close friend that you can talk to, you're very close to, you're happy to chat to, ask them the question, and they might be able to help you out. And if they don't know the question, you could just ask them, hey, why don't we go ask somebody? And then you have somebody to come with you to ask a teacher a question about where you have to go for classes and stuff. And I feel like it just makes it easier when there's another person around you, especially if it's a friend. So yeah, I'd say giving that a go, and you'll be able to build your confidence up.
Awesome. So I think this sort of links in a little bit to my answer to the first question. It's definitely there. So this is more related to my time at my second high school than at my first. My second high school, I knew absolutely no one on my first day. So getting to know a very cool person that every single school has. Now, they always call something different. Sometimes they call the school chaplain, or the well-being coordinator, or the integration head, whatever your school calls them. That person, it's their job to feel comfortable at school. So getting to know that person and sort of having them as a safe person to go ask lots of questions to, and to sort of pop into their office, they're a super, super friendly person that's really great to get to know early.
So in response to how did I unwind and recharge after school, I would honestly just go to my room and relax. I found that having some time to myself, having, just general time to do what I liked, helped out 1,000 times during high school, especially when I had extremely rough days. And so, yeah, just chill out in your room.
Awesome. So for me, when I unwinded after school, first thing I usually do, I'd probably go have a shower just to chill out, relax, just to get all my school uniform off and just get into some fresh pair of clothes that I feel comfortable in. Quickly go have something to eat, and then I just continue on with my day. So that could either be looking after animals, playing video games, or just chilling out. So yeah.
Awesome. So something I used to do definitely after school was video games. So at the time I was just starting year 7. Elder Scrolls 4 had just come out, so lots of RPGs. I'm a firm believer in sort of separating your home life and your school life. So when I would get home, I would take my school uniform off and I was done with school for the day. So if it's a routine you want to get into, you would do homework once you got home, take your school uniform off, and then you're done with school for the day. So until you put it on again the next morning, your home life is your home life. You go do extracurricular activities, you hang out with friends, you do other stuff. Try to keep school and home separate. It'll make, if you're struggling at school, it'll make your home life a lot less stressful, and vice versa. Yeah, you could definitely have that little bit of separation.
Yeah. So for me, I would just delve into my interests. I found that really relaxing and it would calm me down. If I didn't do that, I'd have a nice little meltdown. So, so my interests when I started high school were things like dancing, World War II, roller coaster from ABC. I don't know if that's still around. And yeah, just relaxing and chilling and delving into my interests. That's what I did.
So advice I'd have for like, I don't know, going through the social stuff of high school. First thing to remember, don't worry if you don't have a lot of friends. Like it isn't a massive deal. Through high school, I never had a massive group of friends. I only had 2 or 3 really close friends, but they were really good friends. So it's like quality over quantity. So so if you're worried about only having 1 or 2 friends, it is okay. Like I prefer to have like really close friends, but other than that, if you are struggling to like meet new people, make new friends, definitely look at like doing all those little club things that they have. So either like joining up for theatre if you really enjoy theatre, because you will meet really awesome people who have the same interests you and want to talk about that stuff. If you love sport, join a sport things. I know my school had gardening stuff as well, which I did a bit of, and I did meet some like really awesome people who loved animals and nature and stuff. So definitely have a look into that stuff. And like I know sometimes like it can be really exhausting. So I know some of the sport and theatre stuff that runs into your own time after school. Like sometimes when you need to recharge, but if you can like push forward and go to it, you will have a really awesome time.
Awesome. So I'm very similar to Patrick. I only had 2 really good friends in year 7 and 8. And even once I went to my second high school, it was still basically my D&D group, which was like 3 or 4 people. So it's okay not to have a lot of friends at your school. I would say the best thing you can do socially, and this is just socially in general for your own health, is to join an outside activity. So I did cadets, or the Scouts, or joining a social group. Get to meet people outside of your school and outside of your you wouldn't traditionally meet. You often find there are awesome people and you're amazing bestest friends just waiting to be met. So yeah, go meet interesting people, do interesting things.
I would definitely agree with Patrick and Kyle that probably the easiest way to make friends is by joining groups and clubs. Like even at your local library, they have like chess club and Pokemon clubs. Like they have everything. There's so many like good community groups that you can join, and I'd encourage people to do that in school and out of school. And the second bit of advice would be that just be yourself. I know that like in high school you kind of have that feeling of, you really want to fit in, which is natural. But it's good to still be yourself and not pretend to be someone else, because, people will be more attracted to you and want to be your friend if you're authentic and you're yourself anyway. So you don't need to pretend to be someone, just you're good enough. That's what I would say.
Yeah, my advice would be to find people with similar interests to yours. So if it's like the first or second day of school and you're just walking around the school area during lunchtime and you're not really sure what to do, find people who are doing stuff that you enjoy. Like if you like sports, find people that are playing a sport. If you like video games, find people that are just hanging about, like maybe playing a video game on their phone or something like that. And my second advice would be to not be afraid to try new things. So, for example, if you're a sports nerd, but your main interest is like footy or rugby or something like that, and you see a group of kids playing soccer, I mean, soccer and rugby, not to be too insensitive, but they're pretty similar in terms of extracurricular activities and stuff. So just go and join in. See if you end up liking soccer. See if you make some friends that way too.
One of my life hacks, and I think I mentioned this a little earlier, would definitely be to keep home life and school life separate. I think one of the best things you can do for your own happiness is not letting the two bleed together, because otherwise you're bringing all that stress and all that negativity from school back home with you, and that's affecting your home life and your relationship with home, and maybe even the other way. So definitely keeping the two separate. And as far as homework and motivation, there is no right way to do homework or to be motivated unless you're not doing it at all. So I would say just experiment, try lots of things. I know in the end for me it was I just had to set a million reminders on my phone and annoy myself into doing homework every night. But just find the system that works for you to keep you motivated, because it is something you just have to do in school, unfortunately. So if you can do it, nail it, and show you're already massive intellect, you're rocking it.
So I have 3 really simple life hacks for high school, and the first one would be to sleep. Make sure you get a good night's sleep. Don't stay up till 12 o'clock on playing Game Boy or whatever it is, because if you don't have sleep, your good 8 hours of sleep, you'll just be tired in the morning and you'll find it hard to get up and be motivated. Everyone knows that. That's, the second thing would be to get someone to explain the timetable when you start high school. I know a lot of people I've spoken to, young people I've spoken to, and even me, the timetable can look really confusing and overwhelming. So if that's the case for you, make sure you talk to someone about that and they can explain that to you. And the last thing would be to something that I've actually learnt this year, starting university, and that is to colour coordinate my subjects. So for one subject, have a blue folder with a blue book, and the other subject have a green folder with a green book. So that way you can get organised and in a routine. So that's what I would say.
So my life hacks would be, first of all, if you have a language class, so for example, in my high school, I learned French, and I found that class very anxiety inducing and stressful. I talked to my parents about it, who ended up talking to the disability teacher at the school, and I ended up getting out of French. And so during that class, I would just go to I believe it was called like the learning room or something like that. I don't know, it had a weird name, but I would end up going there during French, and it was a great place to unwind and also catch up on my homework and stuff like that. So if that's at all possible and you don't enjoy learning other languages and stuff like that, it's worth an ask. My second piece of advice, or my second life hack, I should say, is find times during school to do your homework, because I know I hated doing homework at home, which kind of defeats the purpose of homework. But so for my example, I would end up going on the bus earlier and on the bus to school earlier and home and from school later. So I know during that time I would do my homework, and also I might have done it during lunchtime or recess, just because I really didn't want to do it at home, because at home is my me time. And so yeah, those would be my life hacks.
So my biggest life hack for school, well, one of the things I struggled with was getting up in the morning. So good little tips for that is, like, it may be hard, but definitely try to get up a tiny bit earlier just to have a longer shower. Because I feel like showers are they're really good. I feel like you could like meditate in there. You can just wake up a bit more, stretch. And I find them really very useful for like just getting up in the morning, just giving yourself like an extra shower, because they're one of my favorite things. Other than that, definitely make sure you have breakfast in the morning. So for a very long time during high school, I never had breakfast in the morning just because I just want to rush out. I want to sleep in as much as I can, rush out the door. Definitely have your breakfast. I find it gives you more energy during the day. It's easier. You have like more constant energy during the day. Sometimes I feel like I have ups and downs, so no energy, lots of energy. But like if you have a good breakfast in the morning, definitely gives you energy. And other life hacks. So one thing I hated my normal school uniform shoes. Absolutely hated them. So I always used to bring a pair of runners with me for like after school and stuff like that when I had to go do chores. So anything that makes your life more comfortable, just do it, and you'll be able to explain yourself away. Like,
if I'm being completely honest, I barely ever did homework in high school. I just hated it, and I just wouldn't do it. But I would say that as I've gotten older and I've learned how to learn, I've realized that doing things in one big chunk is really overwhelming, and I find it hard to retain that information when I do too much at one time. So just space your homework out and do a little bit by little bit. And for some people that might make homework life a lot easier.
Yeah, my answer is very similar to Caitlin's. And that's to just start homework early, like the day you get it, and then space it out over the next however long until it's due. So, for example, if you have, let's say, 6 hours to write an essay, that's how long approximately will take to do this homework. Instead of doing one 6-hour session of doing that essay, do it over the course of a couple of days. So, like, I'll spend half an hour doing it this day and then half an hour tomorrow. Because yes, that'll help you retain the information a lot better, and it will also help you with your stress levels and anxiety. So just setting aside time for breaks is extremely important.
awesome. So advice for academically. So I didn't do a lot of homework as well, but I think the main reason was that because my process of homework is if I try and do as much as I can at school, it just leaves more free time at home to do what I want. So if it's easier for you, just try to do it just try to do as much homework you can at school. So during lunch and snack, I didn't do much. I usually just sit around and talk. But on days when I wanted to do homework because I wanted free time, I just go in the library and smash out like some homework. And when I got home, I had free time to do whatever I want. And I've got blank. Sorry, I went blank. I can't remember.
I'm so glad that wasn't me.
Yeah. I was on a roll. I was like, I just forgot.
Okay, man. So you've got doing homework in the library as opposed to just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah. Now I remember. I was the type of person as well. So I do it when I got the school. I try to do as much as I can. When I did have homework to do it at home as well, I was the type of person who would try and do it as soon as possible, because just having homework in the back of my mind, it didn't really help me because I'm always thinking about it. It's always something on the back of my mind I've got to complete. So as soon as I have a chance to do homework, I'll do it, and I try to complete as fast as I can. So kind of like the opposite of procrastinating, I just try and do it straight away. And it just feels a lot more relieving when you just have free time and nothing on your mind.
So I think my piece of advice is very similar to Patrick, and it comes from a place of I didn't do any homework until year 12. So I was shocking for not handing it in, not because I didn't do the homework, but because I'm like Caitlin, I'm shockingly dyslexic. And so I would do my homework, then I would print it out, go to school the next morning, look at it, realize that it was basically incoherent and illegible, and throw it out. So I had a very low self-confidence in my own ability, even though, I could talk to you backwards about the subject. I couldn't put anything on paper. So I started doing my homework in a 2-stage system, where I would, the minute I got it, that night I would go home and do it. And then the day before it was due, I would go back over with a couple of days to mull it over and do any editing and checking as well as proofreading I have to do. Because in the moment, you miss a lot of those punctuation errors or grammatical errors or word errors like fort, F-O-R-T, as opposed to F-U-G-H-T. And then, you know, you're going to do an historical paper the next day and everyone's fighting in forts, not fort. So I would definitely say develop a system that enable you, don't push yourself down. What do you think, Caitlin?
I 100% agree.
So my advice, if you feel anxious at all about starting high school or returning to high school, is, especially if you view it as like a burden or a chore, burdens are always best when shared. And the load is a lot lighter when other people are helping you carry it. So if you're struggling at all, if you're having any sort of difficulty, talk to people, talk to your teachers, talk to your parents, talk to your peers even. Just keeping a communication channel open and letting people know that you're struggling with this area or even the whole thing of high school, it's a load off your shoulders, and it's the first step to sort of overcoming that problem.
So encouragement for me for high school. So for me, high school, I really enjoyed high school. It's different for a lot of people, but high school may seem really boring and you can't wait to leave it, but try to take as much as you can out of high school. Try to do a lot of things in high school, because all of a sudden you're going to be done with high school and you'll be going to the workforce or going to uni to study. And high school can really be really fun. Some of my favorite memories are from high school with some awesome people I've met, things I've done, awesome teachers I met. So really just try to get as much as you can out of high school, enjoy it, and just have fun with it, because you can't be at high school forever. So yeah.
So my piece of encouragement and advice would definitely be, you are so much more capable than you think you are. When I was especially going into my second high school, my confidence had definitely been shaken in my ability to perform at anything above an F level. So you are so much more capable than you believe you are. Just, expand your network, ask lots of questions, and just, take it one day at a time. I would put so much pressure on myself to, have 6-week assignments done the day after I got them, or to, be amazing at everything I touched immediately, that I would burn out and melt down a lot. So just take school one day at a time and believe that you can do it, because you can do it.
So I would say if you're feeling nervous, that's okay. That's normal, it's natural. And the reality is that most of the people that you will meet when you start school, all of your peers, they're probably feeling nervous as well. The teachers, when they started high school, they would have felt nervous. Even, the adults in your life, they would have felt nervous when they started school. So it's okay to feel nervous, and it's okay to feel that emotion. But like Kyal said, just, be yourself, you don't have to pretend, know your limits, push yourself, all that stuff, because, you'll learn a lot from school, and hopefully your schooling experience is positive, but if, there's bumps in the road of school life, that's okay. Just embrace those moments, because you'll learn from them and you'll develop, and you'll turn into this lit person, I'm sure. So embrace school.
So the parents who want to support their kids during high school, so I'm going to try to relate this to what my parents did. They were awesome. They were really supportive. They talked to me a lot. They were communicating with me, which is really awesome. One thing I wish they realized is that after school, sometimes I was really tired. I don't feel like talking. That's not because I don't want to talk to you, because I just need my own space to recharge from after school. So just giving me my own space after school, because it is like it was a really long day. So then giving me my own space just to like relax, like sometimes I thought I was upset. Sometimes I thought I had a really bad day. No, I had a really good day. It's just that I have no energy. So that's a really good thing that I wish they realized a bit earlier on. But I didn't really tell them that because I was just tired anyway. But yeah, that'll be my advice to parents. If you have like a kid who's in high school, they just want to like relax for a bit, play on their computer, go in their room and sleep, just do whatever. Let them do it because they really do need it to like get their energy back.
So a common thing that I've noticed with people I've had conversations with, and even a little bit myself, was that parents often will kind of box their kid into what their label is, and the intentions are good, but that can actually limit a child and stop them from pushing themselves, because, you know, when you're strapped with a label, you know, there's a lot of negative connotations around that, mainly from society. So try not to be like, okay, you have this label and therefore this is what you can and cannot do, and stop pushing them, because pushing any young person is really important. And the other thing would be to try and be a really strong advocate. My mum was amazing at advocating for me. I came across some documents the other day, and there was like 150 emails of like she'd sent to like teachers, like saying, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, do this better. So try and be, you know, be a strong advocate and speak up. That's what I would say.
Yeah, my response to any parents out there who are wanting to support their kids is try to find the right balance of how supportive you should be. Because you definitely shouldn't neglect your child, but nor should you be too supportive. Because if you're too supportive, then they won't want to leave the house or go to school ever again, if they have like just the slightest mishap. So you're definitely trying to find a balance. If they're at all struggling, like they're crying or having a meltdown, console them. Definitely console them. Don't scold them, and definitely just be there when they need you, and don't be there when they don't need you. Would be my advice.
So my piece of advice is definitely a two-parter. The first part is that teachers are experts at teaching, but parents are an expert at their children. If your kid is starting year 7, that means you've got 13 years experience with them. So I know a lot of my clients' parents who I talk to, they want to be able to communicate with their kids' teachers and have a dialogue and be like Caitlin's mum and be like, hey, I reckon this kid could use this help, but they lack that confidence because they're like, this person has a piece of paper and I'm just a parent. But you are the expert on your kid. So never, ever, ever not communicate, because if a teacher doesn't know as well, they can't help. So, you know, have that open dialogue. The next part as well is to sort of, reiterate a bit what Jarod said, and is to say that sometimes the best way to be a cheerleader is to be a silent one. Always have their back, always be in their corner, but sometimes make them feel like they've solved the problem on their own. It's an amazing to see kids develop those resilience and problem-solving skills because they've been able to go talk to their teacher. It doesn't matter that you've told them in the morning, hey, buddy, I reckon it's a really good idea you've talked to the teacher, and you've lined up the teacher as well to wait for them. As long as they feel like they've solved that problem on their own, they'll begin to develop those social skills and those problem-solving skills. And that's such an amazing life skill. So you are the expert on your kid, and allow them to grow and develop into adults. Because they, quote, a wise person, they will turn into lit adults.
Good luck, have fun, and be lit.
You're so much more capable than you think you are. You can do this.
If you put your mind to anything, you can achieve it.
Got this. Stay focused. Keep your eye on the prize. Good luck.